Good morning and happy Pride. Today I wanted to share with you all a little bit about one of my favorite Bible stories, that of Naomi and Ruth, as well as my own story. As some of you know, I am a transplant from Alaska. I grew up in a very conservative community and in a church that had very narrow views of what was right and wrong and who God is. For a good portion of my life, I agreed with all the viewpoints that raised me. But as I started to branch out and foster relationships outside of the bubble I grew up in, I started questioning a lot of what I had been taught. This came to a head when two of my sisters came out. I did not believe that the God that I loved and who loved me could hate my sisters. I also knew that my sisters could not be safe mentally or spiritually where we were anymore. So I took a leap of faith to come here and work to find and create a community and a home that was for them. In the book of Ruth, Ruth marries one of Naomi's sons. Then Naomi's sons and husband die. Naomi urges Ruth to separate from her and start over, but Ruth says this, "Don't urge me to leave you or to turn back from you. Where you go, I will go. And where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried." Just as Ruth could not leave Naomi, I could not leave my sisters. Even though Ruth may have had an easier or simpler life if she had separated from Naomi, Naomi was too precious to Ruth, and my sisters are too precious to me. By forging ahead with Naomi, it gave the two of them more power and agency over their own lives than if they had separated. This moment in their story, in this month of Pride, I believe can inspire us to live and seek queer liberation in community. It cannot be done alone, so we have to walk forward together and have faith in one another and on the future we want to manifest for ourselves and next generations. Eventually, Naomi and Ruth find new community in the clan of Elimelech. I have found community here. When I first moved to the Olympia area, I did some church shopping. I desperately wanted a faith community that would welcome me, welcome my sisters, and fight for the issues that are close to my heart. I came here one Sunday in September of 2022, and that day the forum was about this church's commitment to the LGBTQIA2S+ community. I wept. The radical love that is in this place reached my guarded heart. The faith that this church exhibited that day has the power to transform, reinvigorate, and heal a generation that has been so deeply hurt by the church. The way you can reach those who are seeking a faith community is through taking a strong but loving stance on things that have been overly politicized, like queer liberation, Palestinian liberation, Black liberation, Indigenous liberation, and so many others. People are looking for spaces where radical, positive social change can occur, and I firmly believe that we have the capacity to be that kind of a space. I have found a magical community with you all and many dear friends. Every week, you all give me the strength and care that I need to stand up for my sisters and to stand up for myself. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I am of a certain age now where the parents of my friends are starting to pass away. A few months ago, I found myself in a rural church in my hometown, celebrating the life of the mother of my friends, Rachel and Cedar. In many ways, it was a typical celebration of life. Friends and families gathered together, tearfully espousing the Christ-like qualities of a phenomenal woman of the church and her great love and God and her family. However, as an outsider and friend, I saw a different side. A side in which a hurting child was separated from the rest of their family because of their fluid gender modality and activism in the LGBTQIA+ community. An adult who had grown up in the church but was now uncomfortable in the presence of those they knew disapproved of their identity and ignored their presence in the life of the family. An adult who needed to feel the presence of God's love and comfort, and instead was made to feel ostracized and alone. I was fortunate enough to be seated next to Cedar and their spouse and was able to offer generic words of comfort and hugs. But I left the service feeling deeply disturbed. How can those of us claiming to be Christians go about our daily lives and not see the humanity of all people? Why do people claiming to be Christians so often fail to share the love of God to a hurting person? Why are many of us numb to the hurt, the pain, the joys, the highlights of people based purely upon their sexuality or gender? If we are commanded, not suggested, not asked, not cajoled, but commanded to love one another as Christ has loved us, why are we as Christians not showing love to everyone as Christ has loved us? Author Timothy Keller states, "To be loved but not known is comforting but superficial. To be known and not loved is our greatest fear. But to be fully known and truly loved is, well, a lot like being loved by God." As members of Good Shepherd, we welcome and celebrate all people, all children of God. But how can we fully know and fully love all who enter our doors or celebrate with us under God's great green canopy of grace? Not just welcome, but truly love and know the queer, the straight, the homeless, the odd ducks like me, the children, the adults just like yourselves. Love every human being and animal as Christ has first loved us. I'd like to propose that we firstly take time to get to know people outside of our tight little circles of comfort, that we interact on a deeper level, taking the time to listen and really get to know people, their hopes, their fears, their stories, that we invite all to bring their real lives into church, shedding preconceived notions of one another and getting to know the real, messy, difficult parts of our lives and ourselves. That we allow ourselves to listen to the uncomfortable things and to celebrate the positive. That we welcome authenticity and allow all to come as you are. That we show compassion with action to people from all walks of life. I recognize that this is disconcerting and at times uncomfortable, but love is not always easy. It is not enough to get to know people without loving them, and it is not enough to love people without getting to know them. I would propose that another way of showing Christ-like love to the LGBTQIA+ people in our community is by abiding in our tagline, "Be seen, be heard, belong." Empowering our marginalized siblings in Christ to be heard in our congregation and using our collective voices to speak together to the greater community and champion the rights of those beside us. To speak on the behalf of transgender teens and their right to use their names and pronoun of choice. To advocate for literature in schools that represents LGBTQIA+ families. To protest forced outing of students in our schools or discrimination of people in the workplace and in healthcare that they are able to receive. There is a strength in numbers and a knowingness that comes as we work together, side by side, offering support for one another, working toward common goals. If we, as a congregation, truly claim that everyone in our midst is a child of God, we must let go of judgment and must celebrate all people in our community. Celebrate all of our unions and accomplishments. Let's band together in times of trial, showing not a superficial love, but rather a sacrificial love to all members of our community. Not only sharing Christ-like love when it's safe and easy, but also loving when it is risky and it may cost us. We aren't told to love when we feel like it, or when the recipient of Christ's love is easy to love. We aren't to love only on Sundays, or when people we are sharing Christ-like love to are like us. Let's not only share Christ's love, but also our own genuine love, letting our siblings in Christ know that they are not alone, that we stand beside them, in front of them, behind them, that we are a congregation that will love them, encourage them, and strive to truly know them. Let us not only be a church that, in my son Anthony's words, is a place where I can go and not get hate crimed, but also a place of safety and refuge, joy and contentment, of relationship and love. A place where we humbly gather together before God and know that we truly are heard, we truly belong, and yes, truly, fully, and are deeply loved. Thank you.